Nadszedł czas zmiany, przejścia do prawdziwego działania wszechświata. I nadszedł czas, aby zrozumieć, że używamy stanu materii, by osiągnąć poziom zrozumienia duszy człowieka. Teraz rozumiesz, być może, dlaczego Kreator wysłał swoich posłańców w imię tego, co miałeś. To oni przynoszą uszy, aby można było ich użyć, gdy nadejdzie czas Mesjasza. Mogę nauczyć duszę i przesłanie. Nie by się przeciwstawiać, ale poprzez ich zrozumienie, przez tych, którzy stali się Mesjaszami, aby dawać ze swoich dusz, aby ich elewować. Zadanie stało się łatwe. Szkoła jest tutaj i uczniowie są tutaj w oddaniu. Wtedy nie będzie żadnej walki między tym, co nazywają muzułmanami a chrześcijanami. Baranek i lew będą jeść i spać w tym samym gnieździe. Chrześcijanie i muzułmanie będą spać i modlić się w meczecie, w tym samym kościele, w imię ich dusz, nie w imię religii, które są używane do tworzenia tak wielu konfliktów, dla korzyści tych, którzy byli hiperaktywnymi dziećmi. Nadszedł czas, czas zmian jest tutaj. I jak powiedziałem, moje życzenie jest moim rozkazem. Jeśli pragniesz ujrzeć pokój, droga pokoju jest wyłożona bardzo wyraźnie. To dusza świadomości zbiorowej. Poprzez dawanie stworzy tą pozycję zmiany. Nic innego. W duszy człowieka nie ma długopisu. Jestem pewien, że po wejściu do społeczności uniwersalnej nigdy nie zobaczysz niczego zapisanego, ale równowagę pól duszy egzystencji. Staraj się być na tyle pokornym, aby nie stać się aroganckim w mocy, którą zrozumiałeś i posiadłeś. Inaczej wpadniesz w tą samą ścieżkę kościoła i meczetu. To jest to, co obiecaliśmy i to właśnie dostarczyliśmy. Musimy zrozumieć działanie duszy. I musimy zrozumieć, że dusza człowieka jest gwiazdą w kosmosie wszechświata. Jeśli porównamy duszę człowieka i tak wielu nas, 7 miliardów w jednym zbiorze, Ziemia jest jak galaktyka z tak wieloma gwiazdami. Kiedy patrzymy w głąb wszechświata, widzimy galaktyki z setkami milionów gwiazd. Podobnie jest z planetą Ziemią. Niesie 7 miliardów pięknych gwiazd, które są duszą człowieka. Niesie z sobą duszę tak wielu trylionów zwierząt, roślin i wszystkiego innego. Jeśli więc patrzą ci, którzy nie widzą fizyczności Ziemi i jej zawartości, co widzą? Widzą galaktykę z wielką ilością pięknych, świecących świateł. Każda według swojej siły. Każda zgodnie ze swoją pozycją. Niemowlę ma piękną duszę, podobnie jak staruszek. Dla tych niefizycznych, którzy nie widzą fizycznego wymiaru tej planety, ale widzą siłę pola, jesteśmy gromadami gwiazd. Ludzka rasa, każda pojedyncza dusza, nikt z daleka nie widzi. To jest dusza rybaka, to jest dusza kosmologa, to jest dusza prezydenta. Wszystkie świecą bez względu na fizyczność. To jest magia. Oto, co nowa nauka musi przynieść człowiekowi. Kiedy patrzymy przez naszą duszę, widzimy tylko gwiazdy w innych duszach. I to jest przełom. To jest zrozumienie. Na tym właśnie polegają te wszystkie nauki. Dojście do dojrzałości następnego poziomu, aby zrozumieć daleki kosmos. Wszechświat jest ostrygą dla tych dusz, które służą. Wtedy człowiek jest gotowy do wejścia w kosmos. Wtedy człowiek jest gotowy, aby stać się częścią uniwersalnej społeczności, która została obiecana. Nigdy nie obiecywałem wam nieba. Zawsze obiecywałem wam elewację człowieka, aby przyłączył się do rodziny. A teraz macie klucz. To wy musicie otworzyć drzwi, aby zrozumieć, że mogę elewować duszę tych ludzi lub milionów innych dusz, że fizyczne życie na tej planecie zmieni się. Wtedy jestem godny bycia częścią społeczności uniwersalnej, by być, aby służyć, aby się rozwijać, by być tam, aby być częścią, że w cyklu życia wszechświata staje się w byciu częścią, staje się częścią totalności. Kiedy człowiek osiągnie ten punkt, pojawi się nowy wymiar w sile duszy człowieka, który jest poza wyobrażeniem zrozumienia życia fizycznego. To jest brama do otwarcia nowego życia w nowym wymiarze, co jest poza wyobrażeniem tego, co mogliście nazwać nowym początkiem, nowym cyklem, gdzie ten cykl niesie ze sobą źródło stworzenia życia we wszechświecie i unikosie. To jest elewacja duszy, aby służyć. Stała się kluczem. Nie tron życia fizycznego. Czas jest odpowiedni, nadszedł czas, aby człowiek przeszedł przez ten proces. Witam wszystkich na 223 warsztatach poszukiwaczy wiedzy w języku polskim. Dzisiaj mamy niedzielę, 6 stycznia 2019 roku i tematem dzisiejszym jest kontynuacja 255 warsztatu poszukiwaczy wiedzy z języka angielskiego na język polski. I to mamy końcówkę tego warsztatu, to jest od 3 godzin 37 minut do 3 godzin 54 minut oraz następny wykład 256 i mamy tłumaczenie tego warsztatu od 12 minut do godziny 13 minut oraz omówienie dalszej części tego wykładu. Tak więc zapraszam do obejrzenia, wysłuchania i podzielenia się zrozumieniem tego, co obejrzeliśmy i wysłuchaliśmy.
That's the only question you have. This is the only problem man has. To be humble enough And the more you receive, the more you understand. You know nothing, you don't have enough, then you go to the next step. And at the moment, men are too proud. This is what we have as problem. And the man is still waiting to see his own soul. You want to see the confirmation of your soul? There it is. Mr. John is there, Arizona laboratory sitting there. He has created his own sun in the pot, and he waits in there to see the soul creates. But he does not understand that if you make that dynamic, that's the strength of his own soul it is. If he see with the eye of the soul the creation of the creator of physicality, then he understands he has access to his soul. Then he can decide, if I move it further up, I have 2 arms. If I move it further in, I have 20 arms. That's all it is. We have to understand the structure of the, just plasma, just you put it in there and you rotate it, that plasma inside structures itself the way the egg and the sperm did, and the structure, the soul of the man. It's the same principle, the same condition. It's not one field inside it to make the soul of the man. It's a multitude interactions. It's to look at the back of the book number 3, you see. Simple. It's us. If you remember last week, we talked about the cup and orange. We never thought about us standing in there, being in there. We put that wall up. Nobody else, nothing else has put that wall up. Is prejudice about our own creation, understanding the structure of our own soul, nothing else. We've been taught so much rubbish that now cleaning that rubbish, accepting we learn rubbish, we can understand better ourselves, the structure of our own existence, that we think we are fool, we can't understand. Every man is intelligent to understand the full structure of the creation of the Creator and the universe. It's just that we came to worshipping fires, to statues. Muhammad, blessed name, he destroyed all of them. Now man still works with the statue of the physicality of himself. Too glorious to let it go. And everything is compared to it, which actually doesn't exist. We just change it from sitting down a statue with 6 arms to a man with himself with 2 arms. That's all. We have changed the boat. You know what a boat is in Farsi and Arabic.
Mr. Keshe, if you like men to understand this with their mind, with the intelligent, they're not going to get it. We have to
know. Who says? Why you put limitation? Maybe half of our people already understood.
Because it is not going to happen.
Because you don't understand doesn't mean nobody else does.
Because how the intellect can understand such a huge thing? Intellect is limited.
It's not a huge thing. You make it huge. It's so simple.
No, I mean,
how come the messengers of God become so simple that they can receive it? Not an intelligent man and a king and a professor.
But maybe they need a hint.
No, it means you want to close your eyes. It's not worth looking at it. Then I have nothing else to do to worship myself.
So how can we solve this dilemma for man to understand?
Mature to the confirmation of existence. That's not anybody else's dilemma, it's your dilemma. You have to sort out your understanding of your own soul. And don't forget, as you have a common denominator, once one matures by connection, you mature the others. And that time of maturity is very near. That's why we start teaching this way. As I said, I take you slowly, slowly in the path of understanding the totality of creation. And when you go into space, nobody will become a prophet. We are messengers, but we never prophesize. We pass the message, we teach. That's why in Keshe Foundation we have no prophets and no temples. As I said many times, the temple of the man has to be the soul of the man, and the soul of the man has to understand this condition of existence in the presence of the soul of the Creator. That's all. You call it magnetic field, you call it unified field theory, whatever you want to call it. Unified field theory in essence is simple. I am the Creator and the Creator is within me. Now which one are we? And if you look at it, gravitational becoming magnetical and the magnetical becoming gravitational. Finished. End of the teaching, we can close. How do you want me to dress this monkey? That somebody understand this is a monkey, it's not just dressed up as a man. We're coming nearly to 4 hours of teaching. I hope I gave you a beautiful Christmas gift. It was donation from the soul of the Creator. I hope you understand it. And hopefully some of those who understand better will understand a very simple principle. And that is, be humble enough to receive, not to be proud enough to deprive yourself. In so many ways we choose our own destiny, but in so many ways we choose our own physicality. Thank you very much for today. We learned a lot, I hope. But understand one thing. If you're there to see, to feel, to understand your soul in the dimension of physicality, it means you still have a lot to do. When you understand and feel in the dimension of the soul itself, then you confirm the existence of it in the presence of the soul of the Creator. Then you don't need no galaxies, no earth, no sun, no universe, but you become part of the totality of the creation. then it depends on that. Anything else? Any other
Well, I
questions?
think you just answered the question that I was just about to ask from David in the Q&A, who says, since I was little, I've always imagined that if I could fly, I would surely go into the sun. So would I meet the blessed beauty in our sun?
Or would you see it in your own soul, which is the sun?
I thought you would say that.
Yeah, you're becoming another one, huh?
Well, it's instant communication, and you can't help it sometimes.
Thank you very much. If there's anything else, any other announcements?
Hello, Mr. Keshe, here's Andreas. I have a question to what's the structure of the soul? Because I traveled in my emotions into the past, and I came to the point that when I clear myself from all emotions what I had in my life, that has to be the soul, and all these emotions, what I collected, everything is emotion. When we eat, also the planets everywhere with their magnetic fields, and so our soul and the position at the time when we were created through a seed and the egg collect all these emotional fields, and that create our physicality. And when we clear all that, these emotions and these fields, then we have the soul. And I don't understand what you mean when you ask what's the structure of the soul. Maybe you can help with something helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, but see, you understand, if you understand there's a soul, so the soul itself is part of the spectrum of the magnetic field. So it has fields within it, and the fields interact. And the interaction of the fields creates condition of the positioning. Some of the positions trap other fields in them that they make noise. Some other interactions creates fields that we call it emotion of the soul. So the soul of the man in a way is no different than the body of the man. It's just that in the body of the man, the interaction of the fields will trap within the physicality of the matter state of the presence of time and space, what we call the brain. That field in the soul of the man that does not appear here on the surface of the soul. It comes within the soul. And that, in interaction to get here, has interacted with other fields. So this part is the emotion of it. That part is the feel of it. That's happiness and the rest. You try to put the limitation to here, but there is no difference between here and the creation and insight from here to the boundary of the understanding of the presence of the being. It's the same thing. You just choose to put a position of time and the space to it. Very simple. You gotta go back into the essence of the true nothingness, where the life starts and it begins. We have a problem that we try to choose different brackets. Physicality of the man, position of the strength of the soul, position of the soul of the man in a space, blah blah. But at the end is the essence of the point of the creation, the center, the nothingness in a being that itself is a cycle of the fields of the universe. Simple as that. Unified field theory. Read the paper called Unified Field Theory and then connect it to the soul of the man, then the physicality of the man, and then you understand the writing is the same. Don't
Thank you.
what is this structure here which dictates which field? Is it the field of the plasma of the earth which gives you the physicality of the matter? Is it the field of the creation of the field of the Mars? Or is it the creation of the field of your own soul in dimensional matter fields that it gives you the creation of your own physicality? When you become detached, you see the light of the creation. Any other questions or any announcements shall be called today? Today was a very intensive teaching. I hope you
Yeah, I think we wore you out well enough there, Mr. Keshe. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. There is something somebody asked in the background. Thank you very much for your donations in the past couple of weeks. We have increased the donation. We need more to do. We received about 4,500 of donation in the past 2 weeks, which is a step up to the dimension. Foundation needs support for itself, not from the foundation. We need that to understand. I know many of you as students increase your fees as part of the donation. We've seen it. Thank you very much. Many of you putting more time to support. It's a time of festivities, those of you who believe in the soul of Christ blesses them. But in a way, every day has to be a celebration of life in understanding the interaction of the soul of the Creator. And in so many ways, maybe we mature to a new limit. As I said today, we had a beautiful, or in the past week or so, we had a beautiful understanding. And I see the teaching of the Keshe Foundation in a very short time will go beyond any of our dreams and understanding with what we have come, we've been given as a gift. We have to understand is us who creates that barrier, that limitation. And it's us who has to walk away from that limitation. And As I said, very simply, when you see how energy from the matter state moves to become part of the field of the lymph of the man, that by itself in reducing becomes the physicality of the man, then you have to understand how you have become physical. And is there a point at the point of physicality that it being so weak and humble in receiving becomes the star, the center of the creation and part of the creation of the Creator? Very simple. And don't try to understand how can I see my soul. How can you see when you are ignorant to the existence of itself? You are within it. It's within you. It's you who decides the position of its cat, and then you want to see with the eye of what it is. As I said to my child once, you want to see your soul, turn your eye backwards, inwards, and see, look inside. What do you see? But our eye is connected to see the outside, not inside. And that's where the man has gone wrong. Thank you very much for today. And I hope we understand more. And as I said to those of you who are the believer in the path of the Christ, a Merry Christmas to you. And I hope you enjoy yourself with the festivities. We will see you next week. And somewhere between Christmas and New Year, you never know, you might get a present. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe. Thank you. It was a lovely presentation today.
No, mamy koniec tłumaczenia 255 warsztatu. Tak więc możemy zrobić krótką przerwę. Ktoś może chce coś dopowiedzieć do tego. No to było wyraźnie coś powiedziane na temat barier myślowych. No dobrze, jeśli nikt nie ma życzenia się wypowiedzieć w tej chwili, tak więc zapraszam na kolejny warsztat, 256. Tu mamy około godziny chyba tłumaczenia, może mniej trochę. Tak więc zapraszam.
think we have to use some unmuting, perhaps.
Yes, I forgot about that. After 256 sessions, I have to press something.
A lot of buttons to push around here.
Yeah, a lot of buttons. I'm pushing a lot of buttons on the other side, that's why. Yeah, as usual, good morning, good day to you. Wherever and whenever you listen to these Knowledge Seekers programs. Today is 27th of December, and those of you who are familiar with the Path of Christ, bless his name, we celebrate his birthday and we start a new year somewhere in between. A lot of dates has been changed over the time, not to mix and match with other religions. But in essence, sometimes around this time is when we believe the soul of Christ was delivered on this planet. In so many ways, man needs always an excuse to do something, and this is a good excuse to celebrate. In the path of belief, does not matter where we go and what we do, we find at the end of it we all believe in one thing, that man up to now has never been given the confidence that his inner being is the source of his own creation of that new dimension. And in so many ways, as we go over the past teachings of few weeks, we understand that even the physicality of the man from the dimension of the universe is a dimension of existence of the universe itself. The structure of the physicality of the body of the man is more or less is another galaxy. The soul, the sun in the center, and the rest of the stars and moons and the dust in that process are part of this universe. If you look at it, in the solar system we have the Earth, the Sun, Jupiter and galaxies have the same things. So the body of the man as a galaxy has the liver, the kidney, the heart, all positioned in different positions in the structure of it. As we said, macro is like micro and everything is the same. What we've taught in past couple of years, and especially in this year, we can sum it up. We came towards one direction. We came towards, in a way, the unification of the soul of the man, that we are all together unified at one soul. And collectively, we make the soul of the Creator, the bigger things. And each one of us has a position in that structure of the life of the universe. We appear in different shape of forms, planets, humans, animals, other creatures in the universe, but in all we are part of that body. We are as the energy of the cell of a heart, and then as the cycle of life of the cell finishes, we become another part of the cell of the liver or something else, or we move to another dimension outside the body of the man. But we still exist, nothing ever diminishes. The conservation of the unified field theory confirms the existence of the life of the Creator and not the man. And this is a very important point for us to understand. In the process of past year, past 12 months, we have moved a lot. If you look at it, we have moved the understanding and the revelation of the truth about the man by thousands of years in past year. Understanding the position of the soul of the man, understanding the operation of the soul in the dimension of physicality. 2018 has been a closure for the past knowledge, for the past life of man on this planet. And 2019, which we come to as being promised, will be the year of glorious time for mankind. A lot of things has happened and we learn from it, and a lot of things will happen that will come to learn from what we have learned. There are a number of things which has happened in the past year, and especially how we see it and how we do it and how we done things. Now we know the soul of the man is part of the body of the man. Now we know the soul of the man is part of the soul of the Creator. Now we know the totality of the whole life. A lot of things happening. Sorry, I stopped talking because we are negotiating with the Chinese government in the background on a special announcement. And they've just given us the time and position where they want it. Just 1 second, please. What is going to happen with us, what we have understood, and what will affect us, it'll be amazing. How we'll progress will be more different than what we had up to now. In so many ways, we promised you, even as we heard in the opening tapes, we promised you the unification of man, the universal community. This offer was officially made on 22nd of December 2018 to the Chinese government in a closed meeting, and in so many ways, for the first time, he offered a nation an opening into space. You see, Chinese government as solid, and the nation and the government we can rely on. On Saturday, 22nd of December, in Beijing, the offer was made directly to the Chinese government, and in so many ways, this allows us to open a new channel. But to be equal, the porthole which we offered will be offered to 3 other nations. As you know, we work on a star formation, we see the reasons for it, and we understand the reason for it. Another nation which will receive the porthole, which means access to universal community through, is the Iranian government. Negotiations with the Iranian government in that process will start, and has already started for a long time. The third nation which will receive the porthole, which means in a way access to universal community, but at the same time collectively, is the nation of United States. This means in the space program, Iran, China, and United States have to work hand in hand. We foresee and we invited to see the fourth porthole in the nation of Russia. The knowledge and depth of understanding of the work of universe is an asset to such a collection. We have brought the soul of understanding of the space, as we say, the free space, through the nation of Brazil. Brazil will become another porthole in the dimension of the space technology, which will be given the totality of the knowledge. Some of you were wondering why we have gone through education and university education, very close collective work with the nation of Brazil in past year. Maybe now you understand. Brazil has been extensively developing the space program in a background, in a private and public, or what you call black box investments, through the time of the Germans when they moved to South America. Technology is fairly developed, and it's in a way unifies the two parts of this planet. We need to always to bring a nation in a position that is hope, and give hope to its citizens. For this reason, we see a porthole for the nation of India, and this completes the totality of our work. The first porthole, which has been promised to the Chinese, will have a diameter of around 10 meters. If you go back to my teachings, I have spoken many times about it. Now, physically we deliver systems which create this condition. What this means, if you remember, we said we make a fish tank that allows the condition of life for other members of the universal community to manifest themselves in. This is not going to be an easy job, but the technology has been developed by the Keshe Foundation in parts that now can become collectively as one. In a coming time, the same porthole will be allowed in city of Tehran. Americans choose their own, so do the Russians, and so the Brazilians. But within 2019, we'll establish the first line of communication through new technology. Many of you see patches of work, and you do not see the totality of the patchwork. But we see, we know what we developed, we know where we sit, and how the Keshe Foundation become the seeds, but not the totality of In this respect, we have called for a meeting of these nations' space programs in Beijing. We foresee the meeting according to what is arranged with the universal community understanding somewhere around 8th or 9th of March of this year. This will allow all the space agencies with the support of Chinese government on the back of One Belt, One Road to meet in China. Which means we start a collective one nation space program. As I speak with you, we're receiving confirmation in different ways through Chinese authorities. They prefer it to be in May and June in the international conference, which is already organized through other activities of One Belt, One Road, which the Keshe Foundation will be as one of the main speakers of this international conference. But we would like it to be at a time chosen by the members of the universal community. In any way, we make one space agency, spaceship agency or group out of these nations. What is important and why we have arranged the organization of the portholes is very simple. Man needs to understand who the other parties in the party are before attends a meeting or a party. What this means, human race has to come to understand and see for the first time clearly, without any hesitation, the existence of others in the universe. We always guessed, we always thought, if you go to the party, would the cousin will be there? Would my uncle turn up? Or would the auntie be there, which I do not like to see? And what would be the reaction or excitement of seeing a newborn in the party? This time, for us to join the universal community, we will see the members of the parties, at least. As we make these portholes, or what you call the gateways to the universal community, we are allowed to interact within a confine of the space where we feel safe and they feel safe. As I said many times, we create the condition for manifestation of those who are in touch with us, have been among us, but this time on an orderly manner. What I would like you to do is to listen to the opening of this session intro. And then come back and listen to the teachings again, today's teaching. We never promised you heaven, but we promised you the unification of man in the universal community. And we think that mankind has reached that point that it's time to open the doors. I would like to thank the Chinese government for facilitating the first international conference of the spaceship nations. We'll teach equal to the Iranians and the Americans, as we do with the Russians and Indians, as the Chinese and Brazil. No other nations at this moment, it seems to be or have the capability to understand the massive progress which is in the background of such an interaction and such a meeting. We have received approval from the Chinese government for calling this conference on a national level. The NASA organization will be invited, the same as Russian Space Agency, Iranian Spaceship Program. What I call hidden development of the space program of the Brazil, in conjunction with the German government, which has been in the background for decades, now we give it a room to become part of the international organization. Indians understand the space program in a different dimensions than the Chinese do, and the totality of these nations brings balance to understanding the total culture of the human race. We have not chosen a portal for European nations, as we do not see this continent as an individual continent, and nations need to be in such a program. And you will understand in the future why. In a way, we have represented the European continent through Germany to Brazil. As you know, during the Second World War and after, many German programs were moved to South America. And these programs, some of them are very advanced, but cannot reach goals or whatever they've done. We collectively will bring these sciences together. What this situation allows us is that by opening these portals, we start the first stages of interaction, interface between the mankind and the members of the universal community. We see the maturity of the man in what we have seen in the past decades, not in the past few years, and in so many ways seeing the maturity of especially President Xi of China and President Putin, where they stood for peace, and it starts showing us the maturity. If you remember, I always say, when we see one understands, we teach that part. And two nations have understood. And so it's time to enlighten and mature the knowledge. It's not going to be an easy trip. In so many ways, if we allow the Europeans with the mentality they've had to conquer and become part of what they did in Africa and the rest of the world, we invite more problems. We invite huge problems. And this cannot be part of this cycle. There is no colonialism. We don't allow no one to be colonized or to become a colony of the other. The white race of Europe has been the cause of many problems of the recent past, and it seems they have not learned. So we bring the collective peaceful nations like Iran, with 300 years of no entering, no war, like Chinese, who understand the relationship between the two sides, the Russian understanding of the friendship and unity and peace. And in so many ways, by allowing India, we bring the old cultures of mankind together. If you look in totality of the 6 nations, we represent more than 50% of the world population, which this gives us a majority. But then decisions has to be made on the other space and dimensions. On the other hand, the Keshe Foundation headquarters will move to a permanent position that will allow us to work as the headquarters of the Keshe Foundation. And the Keshe Foundation, as I've been informed, the management of the Keshe Foundation will move to the nation of Malta. We build headquarters and operational headquarters in that island, as is a mixture of the understanding of 3 continents of Africa, Europe, and Asia. And this allows us to build a solid center with the support of all the Keshe Foundation supporters. The development and the teaching of the Keshe Foundation will take shape in the coming year. The manufacturing part to see the benefits of new technology and employment will be discussed in a meeting in China with the 6 nations. Keshe Foundation will be the chairing of this meeting, and as a collective, not as individuals. I thank the Chinese government for facilitating such a thing, but we still prefer March later than May and June. As we say, the time and the place has been chosen, and we try to abide by it. From now till that time, we teach in more depth, and we expect to see more collaboration within nations. As you understand, when you call such a conference and you put such a position, it means nations have to start talking. They have to understand the totality, and there'll be a lot of negotiations in the background. We do not expect much from the Keshe Foundation members, except those who are enlightened to be part of the teaching. In my meeting in Beijing last Saturday with the Chinese people, was made very clear. The porthole is for understanding the work of the universe, and in so many ways writing the peace treaty as part of the life of this planet. We have to understand the totality of the work, and to understand what it will bring us, what changes will bring to every single citizen of this planet. It's not anymore to show Ganses and to show Maghreb units and to show power units, but it is to plan for the future that the whole of the human race simultaneously and collectively understand. The teaching program to be able to do such a thing in a very simple way has been taken shape in the background in education, what we call the university graduation work of the Keshe Foundation, which has been structured and has been planning for the universities in Brazil, from March of this year. So you understand why we chose the March date. It's the time when we start educating, not just in Brazil, but across this planet. The time and the place in China will be decided by Chinese leadership. In so many ways, as one of the points which we stick to the islands and we see beauty in it, I always said such a conference has to take place in such a space that shows the development of the new technology, and as many of you know, the new center of development that all the nations of the world have collectively gathered together to show the beauty of an island has been taking shape, not in the way, but in the island of the Sanya. And the facilities for such a conference and safety of the world leaders and those who attend as scientists seems to be the right place for us, and that's what we suggested before, and we suggested the Chinese government. This allows a lot of things for us to take shape. In so many ways, allows us to be able to work as one nation, as one planet, and all the resources of nations to develop the space technology will be collectively, not individually. I foresee in the coming year and years, amalgamation of NASA with Iranian space technology, with Russian space technology as one. China needs a lot to learn in the space program, where Iran has matured in the spaceship program, which NASA needs to move to the next step. On the other hand, we have to understand what are the implications of such a development and such a move. When we make one nation, one group as a spaceship program with China, Brazil, Russia, India, Iran, as one group, which means in that process, these nations seeing the totality understands the need for one nationness, as the borders will have no boundaries on the physical dimension. In so many ways, as we started the teaching of the doctors and the agriculture separate, we will start teaching the spaceship program in the vast dimensions of the governmental support guarantee programs, which means the national scientists will commit to it, will take a new dimension of sharing knowledge. And then this group has to decide how the knowledge will be shared or not to be shared, will be passed on to the rest of human race. The request from the universal community is that most of the communications to be live, that is seen by totality of human race. This part needs to be seen. If you remember, some few years ago, I spent 3 months teaching the basic of the knowledge in Trani, in the beautiful nation of Italy. I go back to 3 months of solid teaching to the 6 space agencies, which means I'll teach the edge of knowledge of universe to these scientists, which means that become the cornerstones of the spaceship program, or what it means, the unification of mankind. This be the language, this be the structure, this be a lot of other things which is within the structure of the Keshe Foundation. The request for establishment of a meeting in China of the space programs will be made through Keshe Foundation in conjunction with the Chinese government officials, which means it's an official program. We respect the nation of China and spend a lot of time in the past couple of years to make sure the ground for such a meeting is set. What does this mean? The clean and correct environment for creation of portals. What does it mean that we meet in that condition? The members of the Earth Council will be present at every point of these interactions. The 6 members of the Earth Council have the responsibility for 1 porthole each. And this will be shown, and now you understand why. Collectively, the Earth Council will decide on the next steps in the interaction, and collectively, in sharing with the 6 nations and 6 portholes, we transfer knowledge which is appropriate to be understood. You got to understand, human race has a diversity of cultures and understanding, and all these has to be respected. In the path of Muhammad, bless his name, moon is holy. We cannot change the culture of 1400 years in 1 year. So it's the responsibility of people like Dr. Parviz who understand the culture as a member of the Earth Council to transfer that knowledge to Islamic world, that we respect and we honor, but mankind has moved and has to move to the next step. Training and bringing understanding to many tribesmen is not easy. At the same time, we'll have the problem with the Indian culture. It's still the same. On the other hand, the Chinese have to be able to
Zrobimy krótką przerwę, a ja przygotuję sobie materiał. Nie wiem, możecie trochę porozmawiać, wypowiedzieć się na ten temat. Nie wiem, może ktoś chciałby coś dołożyć do tego, może wie coś jeszcze więcej. Także zapraszam.
ciekawe czasy i ciekawe rzeczy będą się rozwijać, o czym tutaj jesteśmy informowani. W zasadzie doktor Keshe powiedział, że ten warsztat jest jakby raportem menedżerskim na koniec roku i bardzo fajnie się tego słucha z nadzieją, że właśnie te zmiany i ten postęp w nauce i wprowadzaniu tej technologii będzie się odbywać na przestrzeni wszystkich kontynentów. Także bardzo, bardzo ciekawie i myślę, każdy może się doczekać kolejnej części tego warsztatu.
No dobrze, przepraszam za krótką przerwę. Możemy kontynuować dalej.
On the other hand, the Chinese have to be able to transfer this knowledge and the new opening to their citizens. The job of Brazilian group, and especially Dr. Rodriguez for South America, is very easy, because this continent is very familiar with this dimension of work. Some of you might ask, why not Africa and why not Australia? Collectively, as a group, we have chosen bring the essence of Africa as a motherland. It's the children who have taken knowledge back to the continent of Africa. At the same time, the knowledge has to be understood. Not that we decide if man can understand, but it has to be understood by the man, that what it brings for it. In so many ways, part of what you see in the teachings in coming weeks will graduate us to the final position. And in so many ways allows us to bring the line of communication in line. In the last week's teaching, what we saw from the research center in Austria and what was shown, it brought back a lot of points in us trying to understand what was destined and not what we try to destine ourselves for. In so many ways, if you listen to the last week's teaching, I explained, we cannot go backwards. The process was set to the Austrian research team to develop what was to develop, but they decided to go back and do what they thought, and this is not within the program of what we planned. And this has to be understood. From now on, what is asked of different research centers and different groups is part of a bigger plan, not part of a local we do. The same goes with Arizona. The same will goes with the research center, which to be built in Nigeria, which is under control of Alex. And the same will be in the process of what we'll set up in Russia. As some of you know, we will attend a meeting in Russia in April, as we've been invited. In that process, we'll establish further, by that time, the totality of the link of understanding the nuclear industry, the plasma technology, and understanding of the work of the nations together. In so many ways, I have achieved what I came. I unite the leading nations of this planet, and in that, and through their powers and economy, we unite the humanity. India, China, Brazil, Russia, United States, and the center of the knowledge, Iran. We have to understand that the totality of the knowledge belongs to humanity and not one race, and at the same time we have to teach the world leaders how much we have to change. I told you, when we see the first sign, we move, but we created the conditions for the first signs. But withdrawal of the Americans from Syria, and in ending more involvement in conflict, we received the first signs as we requested. And it means now it's time to ready to go. And we have to encourage with the new technology to make the old system obsolete, but still give a new hope for the new dimensions, for the new cycle. So, in so many ways, as I said, 2019 has been promised in the books of the past. Now you understand, we fulfill the prophecies of the books. Then it comes, would be any difference between the Palestinians and the Jews, which are of the same blood, but claiming different path of maybe understanding. Jews are not a different tribe than the Syrians. They're of the same blood. Very much like Shias and Sunnis. Very much like Hindus and Buddhists. In so many ways, it becomes the responsibility of these 6 nations to confer and confirm on their citizens that we're all one, irrespective of what we see. But let's look at the beauty of our path of beliefs and not what creates separation and conflict. In that process, the universal community will make facilities and the release of new knowledge to mankind. This has been agreed upon. It means we start teaching of the knowledge of the universe, the totality of the human race. There are those who have come with me and are part of my soul. They'll become the teachers of the coming time. Understanding the totality is not the job of one man, but the soul of totality. In the coming time, when we teach and when we make interface interaction and we make conditions of different planets and universes in these portals for man to learn, to understand, it keeps to my promise that I said, I'll take man to universe not as subordinate, but as equal. So in that process of interaction with the universal community in the coming months, we'll teach the totality of the knowledge of universe that elevates the soul of the mankind as a one in the totality of the soul of universal community. Would we need to eat? Would we need to work? As I said in many of my teachings, 7 billion population on this planet is not enough. The totality need to meet the demand of the space as such in next 100 to 200 years is at least 25 billion human habitation on this planet and into space. There is one thing which man will find out in these interactions, and we showed it with the programs of the pig in China, is that we eradicate man's illnesses. Because we understand the operation. Physical dimensions of what we call termination of life for man will be taken out of circulation. As the soul of the man will choose, will dictate its point of manifestation and its demise, in not the demise of the physical dimension, but merging into becoming part of or becoming as one system. Which means from now on we learn as it's taught and is understood in the universal community, we understand the work of the soul of the man, which means the physicality has no dimensions. When we will speak about the cancer, it will become a laughing time, and when we speak about breaking a bone, it will become a joke. Which means we gain the knowledge to understand the life of the man in the dimension of universal community through the soul of the man. In so many ways, I sat for a year in China, looking at the totality of what it'll be. As many of you know, I'm well familiar with understanding of culture of the Europe and the West. Lived in it for long enough. Understand the culture of Domination out of fear of being dominated, and robbing and stealing, like the islands, like England, France, Netherlands, Japan, that the little boys try to confirm they own everything. In so many ways, in this process, most of the treasures of the nations will be returned back to the nations, not by request, but by humbleness and so many apologies for what we done and what we have to do. This is not a punishment. This is understanding to the European culture matures in the world of peace. Because in so many ways, as cultures matured, we've seen Greece, the Romans, the Armenian Empire, and Japan, what we call Chinese Empire, have come to understand there is not much to capture if you cannot capture the soul of your citizens. And this culture needs to be taught to the Europeans. And this will take time. This matures many of you. This matures many of the Europeans to understand the superiority of the man through the color of the skin of the man has been a fallacy which is bought by the man with a feeble mind. In so many ways, it becomes the job of many of you as knowledge seekers to start understanding of it. I'll be traveling to Iran in a very short time to encourage the Iranians to share the knowledge of the space program they have with the rest of the world. It's not an easy job, and I know it'll be very hard to trust those who plan to destroy, always being an outsider. But this little boy of outsider, as a nation of Iran, has developed many facets which matches to the work of the universal community. In February, March, I'll be traveling to Brazil to finalize the last part. In April, I'll be in Russia to bring the totality. We invite the Americans to China to come and learn and become humble. But you have to understand, present space technology needs those who are familiar with the work of universe, not made to think they know the work of universe. That falls on the members of the Universal Council. This means we go back to the members of Universal Council for support, and whatever need be, the members of the core team will be there. The institution of the Universal Council and the core, what we call the Earth team, will be made in the island of Malta. We have given you home. We give you headquarters to operate through. And at the same time, you will understand Malta is the place where many souls have traveled through. In time we understand, even Jesus has had to walk in different ways, and we see the culture of Islam, we see the culture of what we call Christianity, all in one island. And this brings unification of the Hebrides all together as one. And that's a good place to start, because the others have already matured. We need to mature the soul of the sons of Abraham. What do we expect from interaction of these portals? Very simple. What will be done in time when the man builds the right environment for manifestation and conformation of the souls of those of the universal community? We might see, possibly, a physical interaction. That depends on how safe the members of the universal community feel to share the knowledge of given part which is theirs with the humanity. This brings us to one point. The commitment to the spaceship conference and then following with a One Belt One Road of His Excellency President Xi of China will force us in one direction. The end of production of arms and financing what we call the peace activities. It's not that China is short of cash to support the One Belt One Road. China is short of technology which is offered by the Keshe Foundation that can support such a thing. In so many ways, I have a bad news for the Chinese, and that is, as you bought so many promissory notes of American government that they could carry on to do whatever they like, now you have to buy more promissory notes of Americans to be able to support the companies and the systems which were set up for war machines. In so many ways, the Chinese government will bear the burden of the security of finances for the rest of the world as they've done today. But in that process, One Belt, One Road, and what we call the One Nation, One Planet, One Race will become part of underwriting the burden of the change time by the Chinese government, and in so many ways through the American government, through the assets of Saudi Arabia. You soon will understand. To take man to what I said last week, 700 million people working just on what they call defense technology to create jobs, has to change, as we saw in the conversion of the Eastern Europe, into making factories and scientists to think on a path of peace. Needs a lot of financial support and needs a lot of understanding, and this support can only come through what we call the BRICS. If you notice, BRICS is complete without South Africa. But in so many ways, most of the members of the BRICS can underwrite to see the changes. Now you understand what is about to happen. It's not just a conference of the space technology people, but it's a conference of planning the future of humanity using the space as new way of employment. We replace the old with new. We don't bring hope, but we bring the knowledge. But this has taken us a long time to plan and to execute. But we had to bring a lot of people to the maturity of understanding the time and the place and the knowledge, and there are enough knowledge seekers around the world which can become the seed of the new change. We've seen the beautiful work of Dr. Katwa in Kenya, and as some of you be aware, his teaching was announced in the Kenyan television news program last week, which means even Africa is ready for change. There is one thing which you have to bear in mind, being part of the Keshe Foundation, being connected to the Keshe Foundation should not give the arrogance of superiority, but should give the humbleness of being there to serve. We've seen that with many people who came around the foundation in past years. Once they made a couple of presentations on the teachings, now they became God, gurus, and everything else is wrong with everybody else. But as we see today, none of them are there. Keshe Foundation still carries on. What we need is those who understood the work of the Keshe Foundation through the actual soul of the teaching to be part of the members of what we call the manifestation and presentation of the portals. Which means at any portal, members of the Keshe Foundation, through the knowledge of understanding of the peace, are and have to be present. So now you understand. We are not peacekeepers, but we are the translators of the knowledge. It's not anymore nano-coding. It's now how fast most of the Keshe Foundation teams and in research centers move towards what we saw, especially in Austria. Non-dimensional space-time gap systems which they were left to complete. Arizona has reached the understanding of the soul, which work within the dimension of the space gap. We see very much understanding of the totality and understanding of how the whole structure fits in. We expect sharing of the knowledge, but not superiority. We expect humbleness from the members of the Keshe Foundation, not arrogance of time. And this is part of our work. The pressure on the members of the Keshe Foundation core team will be beyond imagination. Soon you will understand. In so many ways, the core members will be kept as they'll be the, what we call the glue into holding everything together, because they've been through a lot of hardship, especially those who stayed close to the foundation work. They've been through a lot of madness with what we try to change, but now they see the fruit of the work. We'll see establishment of factories across the world. Numbers and maturity of time of it will be announced in the next 2 to 3 months. Everything has been done in the background. Those who are very close to me are fully aware of this development for the past 2 or 3 weeks. It means we'll work with the scientific organization, with the financial institutes, and with those who many of you might think are the wrong people, but in a way they were brought up to be the right people when the right time comes.
Mr. Keshe, just to let you know, the picture that's up there now is just before the interview of Gatwa in Kenya, and this is his usual group that he's getting together with on a weekly basis to show. You can see the box on the left where he does his demonstration. And this is just before the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation did their interview. And we can't put the interview up because it's copyright, but we can put the link in the chat so that people can have a look at that.
Thank you very much. But this shows how people will become hungry. We'll see these gatherings like this to learn the knowledge in Times Square and in Washington. We'll see it in Tiananmen Square. We'll see it in Kremlin and many others. The world leaders will put a screen in the center of their governments to show the power of the knowledge of space. They'll be proud to teach like this. You will understand soon what this means. You'll understand much more easier when even you move to Tehran. As many of you know, and I've said before, the point of the maturity when the transition of time in the space, in the physical dimension of my life happened, has already become a mausoleum in Tehran. They built it on it without knowing it, and when it was built, and when it's built, the center of this compound, which is the center of the gathering of the Uranians in so many ways, is where I laid my head and understood the work of the universe. There is a reason why this building has been built north of Tehran. I visited it 10 years ago, and I said, what a place to put to be the center where I understood the work of the universe. Those of you who are familiar with Tehran, you know where it is. We used to be outside Tehran, but more or less now it's in the center of Tehran. Teachings like this will be as normal as anything. People are hungry for change. People are hungry for a new dimension. And now you understand, with the setting up to the what we call the Six Nation portal system, we don't make the knowledge exclusivity to one that can hold one to the ransom of the others. Each nation will open understanding of dimension of one part of the universe. That's why we split it. And then collectively they share, because you have to understand something very simple. When one university becomes expert in mathematics and one in medicine, then they have to work together to keep the maths in conjunction with both of their help together how to calculate. So, in so many ways, the teachers of the universe decide what subjects are thought and shared with man in different paths that collectively they're sharing with the rest of humanity completes the mosaic. It's not given totally to the Chinese that they think they control, or to the Brazilians, or to the Iranians. Each one, according to their culture, understands part of the universal work. And in that process, each one will share with the others to complete the understanding. Man will be busy so much with teaching himself the new knowledge and the new dimension that man will not have time to make the tools of war. Now you understand what everything has been happening and how it's been happening in the past few years, and maybe some of you who've been part of it now understand, wow, now we know why we did this. Why suddenly China became important, and why suddenly Brazil took place this shape, and how come suddenly teaching in Iran has become important, and how come we pay attention in the United States. Teaching of the culture of the space to the Indians is vital to get rid of the class difference which they made for themselves. When the one which comes from the common ancestry and the one who sits, whatever they claim to see, to understand the work of the universe as one together, and maybe one understands it more than the other and shares it, this finishes what we see, the class difference fallacy of man in that culture. We cannot carry man without China and India. This is the big problem. In so many ways, we'll see the end of many, many habits of man. What I would like to do, if our team in the background are there, Flint, if you can play, now that we know what it is, the intro which you played just now.
Okay, yeah, I'll be just a minute here.
Just listen to it, maybe it enlightens a lot of you to understand and look at the totality in a different way. What is planned for the mankind and what is set for humanity to come in 2019.
You'd like the video from that as well, Mr. Keshe, then?
Yes, please, the whole 5 or 10 minutes of the intro which you played.
Yep.
Because now you understand, it has a totally different meaning if you listen to it with what is about to happen.
Mamy koniec tłumaczenia tego warsztatu, części tego warsztatu. Tak więc, że mamy już 2 godziny. Tak więc tutaj mam sugestię przeniesienia omówienia dalszej części tego wykładu na następne spotkanie. Tak więc krótko, jak ktoś chce coś powiedzieć jeszcze, to zapraszam. A jeśli nie, to skończymy na dzisiaj.
No, jeśli chodzi o plany i ambicje na ten rok, to myślę, że poprzeczka wyżej już nie mogła być postawiona, ale trzeba mierzyć wysoko i myślę, że jest to piękny start dla nas z początku roku. W zasadzie ten warsztat był puszczony na koniec zeszłego roku. My go słuchamy teraz, ale piękne rzeczy przed nami i ciekawe rozwoje i widzimy, jak ten balans rozkłada się na wszystkich 6 kontynentów. Pokrywa te kraje, które dr Keshe wyliczył. Pokrywamy całość, ponad 50% populacji tutaj na Ziemi, gdzie każdy członek Rady Uniwersalnej, Rady Kontynentów będzie miał pod opieką jeden portal. Przy wsparciu Rady Uniwersalnej, przy wsparciu osób z zespołu rdzenia. Także dużo ciekawych rzeczy przed nami. Myślę, że w czwartek, kontynuując to, jak Paweł będzie streszczał i rozwijał pewne wątki, streszczał dalszą część warsztatu, tego właśnie 256 do końca. Myślę, że też pojawi się dużo ciekawych informacji. Także dziękuję wszystkim za wkład w tłumaczenie i omawianie tego warsztatu. I gorąco zapraszam na kolejne warsztaty, które myślę będą równie ekscytujące, jak to dzisiaj oglądaliśmy.
No, dziękuję, Przemku. Ja również chciałem podziękować tym wszystkim, którzy przyczynili się do przetłumaczenia i ogólnie do całokształtu prowadzenia tego wszystkiego. No i też dużo dzisiaj zostało bardzo powiedziane, także warto sobie jeszcze raz to przesłuchać, jak ktoś ma czas, bo myślę, że znajdzie. No i też zapraszam na kolejne spotkanie, także dobrej nocy i do usłyszenia do następnego razu. Tak więc to były 223 warsztaty poszukiwaczy wiedzy w języku polskim z dnia niedzieli 6 stycznia 2019 roku. Nadszedł czas zmiany, przejścia do prawdziwego działania wszechświata. I nadszedł czas, aby zrozumieć, że używamy stanu materii, by osiągnąć poziom zrozumienia duszy człowieka. Teraz rozumiesz, być może, dlaczego Kreator wysłał swoich posłańców w imię tego, co miałeś. To oni przynoszą uszy, aby można było ich użyć, gdy nadejdzie czas Mesjasza. Mogę nauczyć duszę i przesłanie. Nie by się przeciwstawiać, ale poprzez ich zrozumienie przez tych, którzy stali się Mesjaszami, aby dawać ze swoich dusz, aby ich elewować. Zadanie stało się łatwe. Szkoła jest tutaj i uczniowie są tutaj w oddaniu. Wtedy nie będzie żadnej walki między tym, co nazywają muzułmanami, a chrześcijanami. Baranek i lew będą jeść i spać w tym samym gnieździe. Chrześcijanie i muzułmanie będą spać i modlić się w meczecie, w tym samym kościele, w imię ich dusz, nie w imię religii, które są używane do tworzenia tak wielu konfliktów, dla korzyści tych, którzy byli hiperaktywnymi dziećmi. Nadszedł czas, czas zmian jest tutaj. I jak powiedziałem, moje życzenie jest moim rozkazem. Jeśli pragniesz ujrzeć pokój, droga pokoju jest wyłożona bardzo wyraźnie. To dusza świadomości zbiorowej. Poprzez dawanie stworzy tą pozycję zmiany. Nic innego. W duszy człowieka nie ma długopisu. Jestem pewien, że po wejściu do społeczności uniwersalnej nigdy nie zobaczysz niczego zapisanego, ale równowagę pól duszy egzystencji. Staraj się być na tyle pokornym, aby nie stać się aroganckim w mocy, którą zrozumiałeś i posiadłeś. Inaczej wpadniesz w tą samą ścieżkę kościoła i meczetu. To jest to, co obiecaliśmy i to właśnie dostarczyliśmy. Musimy zrozumieć działanie duszy. I musimy zrozumieć, że dusza człowieka jest gwiazdą w kosmosie wszechświata. Jeśli porównamy duszę człowieka i tak wielu nas, 7 miliardów w jednym zbiorze, Ziemia jest jak galaktyka z tak wieloma gwiazdami. Kiedy patrzymy w głąb wszechświata, widzimy galaktyki z setkami milionów gwiazd. Podobnie jest z planetą Ziemią. Niesie 7 miliardów pięknych gwiazd, które są duszą człowieka. Niesie z sobą duszę tak wielu trylionów zwierząt, roślin i wszystkiego innego. Jeśli więc patrzą ci, którzy nie widzą fizyczności Ziemi i jej zawartości, co widzą? Widzą galaktykę z wielką ilością pięknych, świecących świateł. Każda według swojej siły. Każda zgodnie ze swoją pozycją. Niemowlę ma piękną duszę, podobnie jak staruszek. Dla tych niefizycznych, którzy nie widzą fizycznego wymiaru tej planety, ale widzą siłę pola, jesteśmy gromadami gwiazd. Ludzka rasa, każda pojedyncza dusza, nikt z daleka nie widzi. To jest dusza rybaka, to jest dusza kosmologa, to jest dusza prezydenta. Wszystkie świecą bez względu na fizyczność. To jest magia. Oto, co nowa nauka musi przynieść człowiekowi. Kiedy patrzymy przez naszą duszę, widzimy tylko gwiazdy w innych duszach. I to jest przełom. To jest zrozumienie. Na tym właśnie polegają te wszystkie nauki. Dojście do dojrzałości następnego poziomu, aby zrozumieć daleki kosmos. Wszechświat jest ostrygą dla tych dusz, które służą. Wtedy człowiek jest gotowy do wejścia w kosmos. Wtedy człowiek jest gotowy, aby stać się częścią uniwersalnej społeczności, która została obiecana. Nigdy nie obiecywałem wam nieba. Zawsze obiecywałem wam elewację człowieka, aby przyłączył się do rodziny. A teraz macie klucz. To wy musicie otworzyć drzwi, aby zrozumieć, że mogę elewować duszę tych ludzi lub milionów innych dusz, że fizyczne życie na tej planecie zmieni się. Wtedy jestem godny bycia częścią społeczności uniwersalnej, by być, aby służyć, aby się rozwijać, by być tam, aby być częścią, że w cyklu życia wszechświata staje się w byciu częścią, staje się częścią totalności. Kiedy człowiek osiągnie ten punkt, pojawi się nowy wymiar w sile duszy człowieka, który jest poza wyobrażeniem zrozumienia życia fizycznego. To jest brama do otwarcia nowego życia w nowym wymiarze, co jest poza wyobrażeniem tego, co mogliście nazwać nowym początkiem, nowym cyklem, gdzie ten cykl niesie ze sobą źródło stworzenia życia we wszechświecie i unikosie. To jest elewacja duszy, aby służyć. Stała się kluczem. Nie tron życia fizycznego. Czas jest odpowiedni, nadszedł czas, aby człowiek przeszedł przez ten proces.